to take two. Do you hate something or somebody? Perhaps hate is too strong a word, but if you're honest, we are prepared to bet that you'll admit to more than a cordial dislike of more than one person or one thing. What do you hate, Lou?
Cotton wool, bread and butter pudding, not necessarily in that order. Do you hate anyone, Sandra?
Well, I think I hate people who evade questions with smart aleck answers. However, actress Fiona Richmond, who at one time toured the world and told an eager audience back home about her sexual adventures, is quite clear about her #1 dislike. She just can't stand Mary Whitehouse. Or, to be fair, she can't stand everything that Mary Whitehouse stands for. And Miss Richmond is here to air her prejudice.
It's going to be that kind of an evening.
Miss Richmond is here to air her prejudice, and so too is Mrs. Whitehouse, who I shall not be at all surprised to hear... Just a minute, let me finish the introduction before you come in. I wouldn't be at all surprised to hear that she nurses 1 or 6 prejudices against people like Miss Richmond. Now, it's Miss Richmond's turn first, so you just wait.
I wanted to be clear about the prejudice bit.
All right, you'll get your chance, Mary, I promise. Well, here she is. I was going to say she's sitting here inoffensively, waiting for you to comment, but obviously she isn't, Fiona. What have you got against her?
Not so much Mrs. Whitehouse, but what she stands for, because I'm a great believer in not so much women's lib or men's lib or even gay lib, but in human liberation. And surely an integral part of this freedom of humanity is the right of the individual to choose what they want to see or what they want to read. And Mary Whitehouse, to me, represents the opposition of this idea, and I don't see what right she has got to set herself up and say this you must not see and this you must not read. At worst rather, I would call her a self-opinionated watchdog and a publicity seeker extraordinaire. And
I've forgotten whether that was at best or at worst.
At worst, and at best, an interfering busybody.
Well, now, you say, Fiona, which sounds very reasonable, that it's not Mary Whitehouse is what she stands for. But after a while, isn't it true that in dislikes like this, I won't say hates, in dislikes like this, the person and the thing get intermingled, so Mary Whitehouse now, to you, means everything that you dislike?
Yes and no, if I may answer it like that. Yes, because of what she represents, but as a person, no, because I don't know her, so I can't hate her if I don't know her. But what she stands for, I dislike.
Well, before I bring you in, Mary, couldn't I just put to you too, Fiona, that isn't it also true that you dislike Mary Whitehouse for all these big global reasons you talked about, but also because you think that she thinks that people like you are just a bit dirty?
I don't know whether... I wash every day. I don't know whether she thinks I'm dirty or people like me are dirty. I've no idea.
Well, am I allowed to say something?
Yes, you are.
The idea, you know, the suggestion that Fiona is dirty, may I say it once, has never for once crossed my mind. That isn't so at all. What interests me, that Fiona starts by saying, you know, it isn't Mary Whitehouse. But before she's finished her introduction on all sorts of things, you know, interfering busy...
but that's
no,
not
hang on, dear, hang on. I'm an interfering busybody, and also so forth and so on. Now, can I ask Fiona a question?
Do.
Fiona, you are very happy, obviously, because this was your idea that I should come here today and talk to you.
Excuse me, it wasn't my idea.
They told me the wrong way round.
It wasn't my
But
idea.
I'm the person...
It was our idea that you both came on, actually.
Yes, but I'm the person that Fiona is pleased to come here and say publicly she dislikes. Now, Fiona, if you have that right to come and speak on this programme, I grant it you wholly. I'm not the least worried or concerned at what you say about me. You've got that right to think so.
Well, you are a bit, because it's really getting under your skin, though, isn't it?
The least bit. Oh, no, I'm sorry, Sandra, you can't draw me like that.
Right,
just give me a chance. I don't feel the least got under my skin, much as you would like me to have. You feel you've got this freedom to come and say what you think about me. That's fine.
I don't force my views on anybody, though. I write an article for Men Only magazine. I do not go out and physically stop people in the streets and say, you must read my magazine. I don't do anything like that. I don't air my opinions around as you do.
Well, look, we've only got 6 minutes, so allow me to come in. Who do I stop in the street? Are you really telling me that in a democratic society that people who disagree with particular particular things in our society have no right publicly, as you are now doing publicly.
Absolutely, you have every right
Then
in the world, but
what's
you do
the
not have the
objection?
right to try and ban films or have films
Well,
censored.
can I get...
No,
No,
Mary, just let me
Sandra,
ask. No,
it's
let me ask
most-
you.
no,
let
I'm
me
s-
ask you a question first.
Go on. But I want
Would
to
you
answer that.
say that there is anything or anyone that you hate?
I don't want to answer that. I want to take
Oh,
up...
but I
no,
want you
no,
to.
I know you do, but it's very important that when...
Will you answer that after you've answered
Maybe.
this?
When Fiona talks about me banning anything, it's important that the viewers and everybody else realises I have no power to ban anything, Fiona.
but you try very hard.
I do not try to ban. If you can point out something that I have tried to ban...
Well, I'll
which-
tell you an example recently of something that happened in the press was this great big fuss about hen parties. Now, the moment this happened and the Viking was in the press, on one side
This
was
is the male
Mary,
stripper, isn't
yeah,
it?
Mary Whitehouse saying that this would damage the family unit.
But what, isn't that what public opinion and democracy is all about?
But you have
I
no
saw-
proof. The hen
I-
parties are a new...
Look,
Have you ever
Fiona,
been to a hen party, Mary?
I saw this thing, but look, we
Have you ever
are...
been to a hen party?
Fiona, you,
By her
Sandra,
own admission, she has not.
the two
Sandra.
of you are trying
she
to
can't
stop
comment.
me saying something that I think has to be said. And without that, neither your viewers or your audience will know at all what I'm doing, along with all the other people that support me. What we are doing is expressing an opinion using the press, using television when we get chances like this to say so. Now, at no point do I have or seek the power to ban anything. But if you take television, all television has a duty not to put on programmes which offend against good taste
Oh,
and
Mary,
decency.
can I just,
How
now,
can you
just,
judge?
no, just stop for a minute,
We
the two
can
of
say
you.
what
Just stop
we
for a
think.
minute, because you've both had a chance to talk about this at other times.
We
You
haven't.
may
This
not...
is the first time we've talked together.
You were on a programme before.
Oh, no, but we didn't really
Never
talk
mind.
together.
Let me just ask
We
Fiona.
argued.
All right. Please, just give me a chance here. You may not agree with Mary. I mean, you obviously don't agree with Mary, Fiona. But you've never doubted her sincerity, have you? I mean, this is not the reason why you hate her or hate what she stands for.
Sometimes, yes. I didn't at first. I thought she was a terribly devoted and totally misguided lady.
Well, that's very nice of you.
But
Thank you.
now I possibly do doubt her sincerity because this example I quoted of the hen party, she's up in arms about
Are you
it.
suggesting
She
that I
hasn't-
actually approve hen parties?
She hasn't.
And therefore,
Well,
if
why
I say,
not?
well, you
it
say
hasn't
what?
been proved that they've done any harm. Firstly, because it's a very brand new thing. Secondly, Mrs. Whitehouse criticised it, but she had not actually seen one. How can you criticise something when you haven't seen it?
Listen, you obviously listen to Mary Whitehouse very carefully every time she comes on television. You must read everything that she has to say.
Because
I mean,
it's
aren't
normally
you, in
to do
fact,
with
being a
me.
bit masochistic if you
Fiona,
don't
I have
dislike
never
Mary
made-
Whitehouse so
look,
much?
you
May I say
misunderstand
this?
me.
It's a case of if the cat fits, wear it, it seems to
No,
me.
I didn't
Because
mean-
I have never once
If you'd
made
let
any
me
reference to
finish.
you. Oh, I will.
Not
do.
me, but the sort of thing that I work
Oh, so
for. and
you're
the thing to do with
identifying
it.
yourself with the
No.
kind of things that we are concerned
No, all right,
about.
I've taken my clothes off for a living, I intend to go on. So it's the same as a male stripper, it's of interest to
Have
me.
I ever tried to stop you taking your clothes
I think
off?
you would if you could.
I'm not the least bit interested in whether you take your clothes off or you put them on. But Fiona, I think that the point you're making is really you take up a very dangerous position. You are saying that if people don't agree with what you do, then they have really no right to speak out. Now, I believe that everybody should speak out.
Just
And
hold
they-
it, both of you, for a moment,
Yes,
because
Mary,
Lou wants to have a word
Can I
with you.
possibly interrupt
Yes,
this hen
do, I'll
party
let you.
myself and join in? Mary, I just sometimes wonder whether you're sort of really just jealous of the whole sort of modern
what?
permissive generation,
Oh,
and
blimey.
you sort of missed out on it
Oh,
yourself.
you really must be joking. You didn't know Mary.
What was
At
Mary
either
like? Was
18,
Mary a
20
raver?
or 25.
When
Was
did
Mary
you,
what?
Well, you were a raver, were you?
Well, I happened to grow up during the 20s. Do you remember the 20s, Charleston and all
yes.
that? Believe it or not, I did the Charleston.
Yeah.
I did everything else that everybody did then. But seriously, this isn't a joke that I do, and I don't do it for fun or for anything else.
So
I
why-
do it... No, I'm not prepared to have it made a joke, Lou.
I'm not making it a joke.
Yes.
I don't understand in that case why what was all right in the 20s is not all right if you see it on television or in a public place today.
Are you suggesting that actually that we don't mature from 20 and that what we think is fine when we're 20, before probably we're married, before we've got children of our own, before we see responsibilities in a wider way, that people do not grow up and do not mature and see things differently? Are you suggesting too that the world doesn't change?
I'm suggesting...
Are you suggesting that pressures on the young now and the exploitation of the young and the exploitation of women in a way that frankly didn't exist in the 20s? And I've never been baccarat at all. After all, I was one of the people that pioneered sex education during the 60s. I'm an art teacher.
But then this seems to me precisely what I said to you, that you had your fun and now you resent other people having their fun.
I don't resent. It's not fun I resent. It's people being exploited.
Don't do as
and
I
young
did,
people,
but do as I say.
Not at all. I mean, you can't presume that because I said that and in fact it wasn't so. I didn't sleep around when I was a young woman.
Okay.
Even though, I mean, we had as much opportunity in many ways, but we weren't exploited, and we weren't told that that was the thing to do.
Right.
And we actually had an older
Right,
generation.
No more time at the moment, Fiona.
I'm sorry, I'm going to have to stop you both. Thank you all very much. Hat pins at dawn on Hampstead Heath, I reckon, will be the only answer to that lot.